It was a 2-year assignment. We had one small worry. Would we be able to find the right church? We were Southern Baptists from Texas, which means we were conservative and maybe a little set in our ways. It was suggested that there would not be a Baptist church in England for us, but that did not stop us from looking. Our first church stop was Andover Baptist. Frank Cook was the pastor. I still remember the sermon he preached that Sunday. It was on God's boomerang from 2 Corinthians 9:6. It says, "He who sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and he who sows bountifully will reap bountifully." ABC did sow and did reap. So the story goes on. Frank came to visit us the Sunday afternoon after we had visited the church. He was wearing cowboy boots and a string tie. He wanted us to know that he had been to Texas many times, teaching and exchanging pulpits with other Southern Baptist ministers. We loved Frank, but did not feel like God was calling us to his church. We had no idea at that time how important the acquaintance with Frank Cook would become. After visiting several churches in Salisbury, we felt led to Wilton Baptist Church. It was different than our churches back home, but we felt welcomed and began making wonderful friends. In the meantime, I had lunch events with some of the other American wives stationed in the area, and one wife suggested I should start a women's Bible study, which I did. I think we started with 5 ladies, a couple of Americans, and a couple of our new friends from Wilton, and the Bible study grew from 5 to 10 to as many as 15. Ladies from Wilton Baptist came, as well as some ladies from the Boscombe Down area, and a few of my new American friends. Some of those ladies were also looking for a church to attend and began following us from Amesbury down to Wilton to go to church on Sundays, because there was not an evangelical work here in Amesbury. Another American couple showed up into Wilton Baptist about halfway through our 2-year assignment. That was Larry and Annette Saul. They were also looking for a Southern Baptist church where they felt welcomed and at home. They became a key component of our story. The women's Bible study was so successful that my husband decided to start a men's Bible study. And again, some from the Wilton group and a few from Boscombe Down began to come to that study. It began to dawn on my husband that there needed to be a church in Amesbury to minister to the local area and to many of our friends who were driving to Wilton with us to church. By now, we were 1.5 years into my husband's 2-year assignment in the UK, but that did not stop my visionary husband. He felt strongly there needed to be an evangelical work in Amesbury. So he invited the other American couple and 2 of our new British friend couples to our home to suggest we needed to plant a church. So on January 20th, 1991, the 4 couples met to begin praying about this endeavor. Immediately, we began to see God at work. Les and Jenny Avery got word that there was a Polish student looking for a church family in Amesbury. Pam and Jeff Pike, 2 of their sons are here today, were concerned about moving their 4 children and his mom to a new church, but the children thought it was a great idea. So 2 weeks later, on February 3rd, after much prayer and discernment, we agreed that we would start the new church on March 3rd. That gave us 4 weeks. 4 weeks to get our church going. So we began looking for a place to meet. We checked the community center, the junior school, the Stonehenge school, and Redworth House. We thought perhaps we could purchase something. Now, mind you, we didn't have any money, but nonetheless, we looked at the Amesbury Hotel that was for sale and the Plaza Cinema and a furniture depository, but none of that was working out. So we sent out a call for prayer for funding and items and suggested we would need Bibles, hymn books, Sunday school literature, communion items, a water boiler, and money and a bank account. Gifts started coming in, both gifts of items and money. We were even given a brand new organ. So we needed speakers for our Sunday service, and we needed a constitution and doctrinal statement. And we agreed that we would have a covenant of membership service on March 24th. Now, we still don't have a building, but we're going to do all this. So we decided we would ask Frank Cook to come and from our Andover friend to come and do that first service. He had retired from his position at Andover and was probably one of the best-known Baptist ministers in England at that time, and he agreed to come. So we met with the pastor and deacons of Wilton Baptist, because Amesbury Baptist was our idea, not theirs, but they graciously supported us. We also met with Southern Baptist Association about the possibility of future funding for a permanent building, and we learned that actually local area Baptists had already been praying about the need for an evangelical church in Amesbury, but we still didn't have a place to meet. So on Wednesday, February 20th, we got a yes from Redworth House. They had a room that would seat 60 to 70 people. The caretaker agreed to be on the premise with us on Sundays. There was a place for a creche. Also, all that for £50 a week. That gave us 10 days to prepare. So we went about Amesbury setting up posters. We put an ad in the Avon Advertiser. And on March 3rd, we had 55 worshipers with 9 children in the creche. And we had several curious visitors, one of which was Phil Young, who's sitting here, and his wife Liz, wondering what we were up to. And Phil and Liz actually joined us to make it 5 couples that were on the team to get this project going. So the following 2 Sundays, the number sustained. On March 24th, we had our Covenant of Membership Day. Reverend Frank Cook preached, and 26 members signed. As Frank was getting in his car to leave, my husband ran out and tapped on his window and said, "Would you be our interim pastor?" Now, Frank said he would pray about it. The rest of the team was curious that my husband even did that without asking, but that was what he did. So a week later, Frank agreed to be our interim pastor. But he couldn't be present every week, so he came up with a plan to have a student from Spurgeon's College as our student pastor under his tutelage. That was Graham Robinson. During those first 2 weeks, or few weeks, people came and God met with us. Young people began asking for baptism, and Wilton Baptist agreed to let us use their baptistry. People who had not attended church for many years appeared in our services. Wives came without husbands, and then the husbands joined later. Parents of young adults came to see what was going on. Adults asked to be baptized. A mom, dad, and young boy were all baptized together. And I'll never forget that boy named Daniel, who testified that there was a party in his heart since Jesus had come into his life. By the end of April, we'd outgrown Redworth House and were able to move our services to Stonehenge School in their cafeteria. There were 68 present at the first service. Our family had to return to the U.S. in July. My husband's 2-year assignment was over, but the church didn't need us. ABC was off and running. We were told about the rest of the story. I do want to let you know we do have 2 children, and they were in boarding school at London Central High at the time, but they knew all about what was going on, and my daughter Sharva's here with us today. In July, the church now this is what I learned, we had gone home, but this is the rest of the story. In July, the church made an offer to purchase the Plaza Cinema as a permanent home, but the offer was rejected. They made a second offer in August. It was again rejected. In October, the church had an offer from Gleason's, who was developing Butterfield Downs. They needed a community center and suggested our church could fulfill that requirement. If we agreed, they would give us the land for £1, correct? Mr. Lodge is sitting here. And they would build at cost. The Baptist Union agreed to give us a loan for a building, and the Southern Baptist Association gave us a sizable gift. And you know the rest of the story. Here we are in this wonderful building. One sidebar, in order to get a loan, the Baptist Union required a business plan. It just so happened that Dave Downey was my husband's U.S. exchange position replacement. The Downeys were good friends of ours. We'd been stationed together twice and gone to church together in California. Diane Downey had a business degree and knew how to put a business plan together. So she put the plan together for the Baptist Union's requirement, and the Lord provided again. Several have asked if you had to be a Baptist to get the U.S. Army exchange position, and the answer is no, but God's in charge of even U.S. Army assignments. So my husband and I got a call exactly 1 year later on February 2nd from the rest of the team to say that the church had received gifts of 20,000 pounds from faithful people, and we were going to get a building. So I just learned after I got here that it was 29 years ago today, on March 22nd, 1997, the building was officially open. I did not know that when I decided I was going to come today. I just wanted to come. It's been 35 years. I wanted to be in the building. So there was a church for us in England. My British Baptist church experience was a milestone in my walk with the Lord. It was a fabulous